The colony's warning sirens wailed through the perpetual twilight of Umbra, their sound a discordant echo against the crystalline structures that housed humanity's furthest reach into the stars. Raven Thorne stood at the primary observatory's viewport, her fingers dancing across holographic readouts as she tracked the colony's dying star. 20 years of living on this darkness-shrouded world had taught her to read its patterns like a familiar book, but today something was wrong. "Magistrate Wells," she called out, not taking her eyes off the readouts. "The harmonic oscillations are off by 17%. The star's energy signature doesn't match any previous patterns." The colony's chief administrator approached, his weathered face illuminated by the soft blue glow of the monitors. "Explain it to me in simple terms, Raven. What are we looking at?" "Our star is dying faster than predicted. The energy pulses that sustain our colony, they're becoming erratic. If these readings are correct, we might have 3 cycles left, not the 15 we planned for." The implications hung heavy in the air between them. The colony of New Haven had survived for 3 generations on Umbra, timing their energy collection and usage to the periodic pulses of their dying star. Every 60 days, for roughly 6 hours, the star would flare with enough energy to power their civilization. They had built their entire society around this rhythm. Wells pressed his palms against the cold metal of the console. "How certain are you?" 97%. "I've run the calculations 12 times. Raven pulled up a 3-dimensional projection of the star's decay pattern. "See these frequency variations? They're accelerating. The star's core is becoming unstable." "Keep this quiet for now," Wells ordered, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper. "If word gets out before we have a contingency plan." A crash from the lower levels interrupted him. The lights flickered, and Raven's monitors temporarily went dark before backup power kicked in. In the distance, voices raised in anger echoed through the colony's corridors. "Too late," Raven muttered. "The power grid's already feeling the effects. We're not getting the energy output we expected from this pulse." The colony had been built to house 10,000 people. Now, with nearly 15,000 crowded into its sprawling underground chambers, every energy fluctuation sent ripples of panic through the population. They had already stretched their resources to the breaking point. "Call an emergency session of the Haven Council," Wells commanded. "And Raven, bring solutions, not just problems." As Wells strode away, Raven turned back to her calculations. She had anticipated this day might come, had spent years developing theoretical models for extending their energy collection efficiency. But theory and reality were very different things. The door to the observatory slid open, admitting Kai Blackwood, her former mentor and the colony's chief engineer. His dark skin was covered in a fine sheen of sweat, and his usual calm demeanor had been replaced by barely contained anxiety. "You saw it, too?" he asked, moving to stand beside her at the console. "The harmonic disruption? Yes, but there's more." Raven brought up a secondary display, showing deep scan results of the planet's crust beneath the colony. "I've been detecting unusual energy signatures. They're faint, but they don't match anything in our database." Kai leaned closer, his eyes narrowing. "These patterns, they're almost like they're artificial," Raven finished. "I think there might be something down there. Something left behind by whoever, or whatever, was here before us." "That's impossible." The survey teams found no evidence of previous civilization. The survey teams were looking for buildings, artifacts, obvious signs of intelligence. But what if? Raven's fingers flew across the console, overlaying the energy signatures with the colony's structural maps. What if they built down, not up? What if they found a way to survive the star's death cycle? Kai was silent for a long moment, studying the data. "The Council will never approve an expedition. Not with our energy reserves this low." "Then we don't ask for approval." Raven met his gaze steadily. "We're talking about the survival of 15,000 people, Kai. If there's even a chance." A distant explosion rocked the colony, and the lights flickered again. Through the viewport, they could see crowds gathering in the main plaza, their faces illuminated by the emergency lighting. "We don't have much time," Raven continued. "The social order is already starting to break down. Once people realize how bad things really are." Kai nodded slowly. "We'll need supplies, equipment, and we'll need to move fast before the Council implements emergency protocols. I can have everything ready in 6 hours, but we'll need help, someone who knows the lower levels, the maintenance tunnels." "I know someone," Kai said. "Former security, name's Phoenix. She's been working maintenance since the last population surge. If anyone can get us past the restricted zones, it's her." As they spoke, the crowd in the plaza had grown larger, their voices rising in a cacophony of fear and anger. The colony's security forces were moving in, their black uniforms stark against the emergency lighting. 6 hours, Raven confirmed, already beginning to gather the equipment they would need. "Meet me at maintenance shaft 23B. And Kai, don't trust anyone else with this." "Not yet." As Kai left, Raven turned back to the viewport one last time. In the distance, barely visible through the colony's protective dome, their dying star pulsed weakly, its light already dimmer than it had been just hours before. Time was running out, and the darkness was coming. But somewhere deep beneath their feet, ancient machines might still be humming, holding secrets that could save them all. They just had to find them before everything fell apart. Raven checked her equipment one final time in the dim light of maintenance shaft 23B. The portable energy scanner hummed softly against her back, its weight a constant reminder of what they were risking. Around her, the colony's infrastructure groaned under the strain of failing power systems. A shadow detached itself from the darkness. "You must be Raven." The voice was female, quiet but authoritative. "I'm Phoenix." The former security officer moved into the weak emergency lighting. She was shorter than Raven had expected, with close-cropped silver hair and eyes that seemed to absorb the darkness rather than reflect it. A collection of sophisticated tools hung from her utility belt, not standard maintenance gear. "Kay's running late," Raven said, checking her chronometer. "We've got about 20 minutes before the Council implements emergency protocols." "He's not coming." Phoenix's expression remained neutral. "He's been detained for questioning. The Council's implementing martial law. They know something's wrong with the star." Raven felt her chest tighten. "We need to move now." "Agreed. But first," Phoenix pulled out a small device and activated it. A low-frequency pulse rippled through the air. "Anti-surveillance measure. Now show me what you found." Raven projected the energy signature readings onto the tunnel wall. These patterns appeared after the last stellar pulse. They're coming from at least 2 kilometers below the colony's lowest level. The frequency suggests artificial origin. Phoenix studied the data, her expression shifting slightly. "I've seen something like this before. 2 years ago, in the deep maintenance tunnels, the Council ordered the area sealed off, classified it as radiation hazard." "They lied," Raven said flatly. "They always lie. That's how they maintain control." Phoenix deactivated the projection. "I can get us down there, but we'll have to go through the quarantine zone. Since the power fluctuations started, security's been pulled to handle the riots. It's our best chance." Above them, the colony's public address system crackled to life. Wells's voice echoed through the tunnels. "Attention all citizens. Due to critical infrastructure concerns, the Haven Council has declared a state of emergency. All civilians are ordered to return to their designated living quarters immediately. Security forces are authorized to use necessary force to maintain order." "Perfect timing," Phoenix muttered. "They'll be too busy with crowd control to notice us slipping below." They moved quickly through the maintenance tunnels, Phoenix leading them through a maze of service corridors and emergency bypasses. The deeper they went, the more the colony's sophisticated architecture gave way to rough-hewn rock and ancient support structures. "These tunnels," Raven observed, running her hand along a perfectly smooth section of wall, "they're not natural." "Nothing about this colony is natural," Phoenix replied. We built on top of something much older. The council knows it, but they've buried the truth so deep even most of their own people don't know about it. A distant explosion rocked the tunnel, sending dust cascading from the ceiling. The riots were getting worse. How much further? Raven asked, checking her energy scanner. The readings were getting stronger. 2 more levels. But first, Phoenix stopped at a junction, pulling out a sophisticated override device. You should know something. I'm not just former security. I'm part of a group. We call ourselves the Truth Seekers. We've been investigating the colony's origins for years. Why are you telling me this? Because what we're about to find down there could change everything. And you need to understand, the Council will kill to keep their secrets. The override device beeped, and a hidden door slid open, revealing a vertical shaft that plunged into darkness. The energy scanner's readings spiked dramatically. The quarantine zone starts here, Phoenix said, securing a rappelling line. Last chance to turn back. Raven checked her own gear. Not a chance. Whatever's down there, we need to find it before the colony tears itself apart. They descended in silence, the only sound the soft whir of their descent gear. The air grew colder, heavier with each meter they dropped. Raven's scanner continued to show increasing energy readings, but something else was appearing now, complex patterns that suggested massive machinery. The shaft ended in a vast chamber, its walls covered in geometric patterns that seemed to pulse with their own inner light. In the center stood a structure unlike anything Raven had ever seen, a towering pillar of what appeared to be liquid metal, frozen in mid-flow. By the stars, Phoenix breathed. The legends were true. The ancients didn't just survive here. They transformed the entire planet. Raven approached the pillar, her scanner going wild. These energy readings, they're similar to our star's signature, but more stable, more controlled. Whatever this is, it's still active. And the Council knew, Phoenix said bitterly. They knew all along we didn't need to depend on the star. They kept us living in fear, rationing energy, when all this was right beneath our feet. Before Raven could respond, her communicator crackled to life. Kai's voice came through, strained and urgent. Raven, if you can hear this, they're coming. The Council's deployed their elite security force. They know what you found. Get out of there. They're going to. The transmission cut off in a burst of static. Above them, emergency lights began to flash, and a new siren pattern echoed through the chambers, one Raven had never heard before. That's a purge warning, Phoenix said, already moving. They're going to seal off the lower levels. If we don't move now, we'll be trapped down here. But Raven stood transfixed by the pillar, watching as patterns of light began to race across its surface. The ancient machinery was awakening, responding to their presence in ways she didn't understand but knew were vitally important. We can't leave, she said. Not yet. This technology, it's our only hope. And I think it's trying to tell us something. The chamber's geometric patterns pulsed faster, brighter, as if in response to her words. They had found something extraordinary, but now they had to survive long enough to understand it, and to share the truth with the colony above, before the Council buried it forever in darkness. The liquid metal pillar pulsed with increasing intensity, casting strange shadows across the chamber's geometric walls. Raven worked frantically at her scanner, trying to decode the patterns flickering across the ancient structure's surface. They're sealing the upper access points, Phoenix reported, her voice tight with tension. We got maybe 10 minutes before they reached this level. Look at this, Raven called out, projecting her scanner's display into the air. These aren't just random energy signatures, they're data streams, billions of them. This isn't just a power source, it's some kind of interface. The chamber shuddered as distant explosions echoed through the tunnels. The Council's forces were getting closer, burning their way through the sealed barriers above. The Truth Seekers had theories, Phoenix said, moving to examine the projection. The ancients didn't just build underground, they merged with their technology. became something else entirely when their star began to die. Raven's fingers danced across her scanner's controls, trying to isolate patterns in the data flood. They found a way to harness the star's energy directly, didn't they? Not just collecting it, but reshaping it somehow. The pillar's surface rippled, and suddenly the chamber was filled with holographic displays, star charts, energy matrices, and diagrams of massive structures that seemed to encompass the entire planet. "It's responding to us," Raven breathed. "The system's adaptive, learning our language, our technology." A new alarm blared through the chamber. The Council's forces had breached another level. They were running out of time. "Raven," Phoenix's voice had changed, becoming deadly serious. "There's something you need to know. The Truth Seekers, we found records, fragments of the Ancients' history. They didn't just survive their dying star. They controlled it, redirected its energy through a network of these pillars across the planet. But that kind of technology," Raven's mind raced with the implications. "The power requirements would be astronomical. Unless," Phoenix said, pointing to a particular section of the holographic display, "they found a way to create their own micro-singularity, a controlled source of energy to replace their dying star." The chamber's displays shifted, showing a massive underground complex spreading out from their location. Dozens of similar pillars were highlighted, forming a complex geometric pattern across Umbra's crust. "We're standing in a node," Raven realized, "one part of a planetary scale machine. And it's still operational, just dormant." Another explosion, much closer this time. The chamber's entrance erupted in a shower of sparks as the Council's cutting equipment began to burn through. "We need a plan," Phoenix said, drawing her weapon. "Fast." Raven studied the displays, her mind working furiously. "The system's already interfacing with our technology. If I can establish a deeper connection, maybe we can." She never finished the sentence. The pillar's surface suddenly liquefied completely, tendrils of metallic fluid reaching out toward her scanner. Before either of them could react, the device was enveloped, and streams of light began pulsing through the liquid metal. The chamber's displays changed, becoming more focused, more urgent. Symbols and diagrams flashed past at increasing speed. "It's not just reading our technology," Raven said, watching in fascination. "It's upgrading it, adapting itself to interface with our systems." Phoenix kept her weapon trained on the chamber's entrance, where the cutting equipment's glow was growing brighter. "Can you control it?" "I don't think anyone controls this technology. It's more like a partnership." Raven touched the pillar's surface, and immediately the displays stabilized, focusing on a specific sequence of images. "It's showing us how to activate the network." "How long?" "Minutes, maybe." But Raven hesitated. "Once we start this process, we can't stop it. And I don't fully understand what it will do to the colony, to all of us." The cutting equipment breached the chamber's entrance in a shower of molten metal. Through the opening, they could see the Council's elite forces preparing to storm in. "Whatever you're going to do," Phoenix said, taking up a defensive position, "do it fast." Raven turned back to the pillar, her hands moving across its fluid surface. The ancient technology responded instantly, the chamber's geometric patterns beginning to pulse with increasing power. "This goes beyond just saving the colony," she said, watching as the activation sequence began. "The Ancients weren't just trying to survive their dying star. They were trying to evolve beyond it, to become something new." The Council's forces burst through the entrance, their weapons charged. But they stopped short at the sight before them. The liquid metal pillar now pulsing with blinding intensity, its energy beginning to spread through the geometric patterns on the walls. "Step away from the artifact," their leader commanded. "This facility is under Council jurisdiction." "No," Raven said, keeping her hands on the pillar's surface. "It belongs to all of us." And it's time everyone knew the truth. The chamber erupted in chaos as Phoenix opened fire, providing cover as Raven completed the activation sequence. The ancient machinery hummed to life, its energy spreading through pathways that had lain dormant for millennia. Deep beneath Umbra's surface, other pillars began to awaken, their combined power building towards something unprecedented. The ancients' legacy was stirring, and with it, the potential to transform not just their dying colony, but the very nature of human existence on this dark world. The question was, would they survive long enough to see it through? Energy cascaded through the chamber as Phoenix's cover fire kept the Council forces at bay. The liquid metal pillar had become a fountain of light, its power spreading through the geometric patterns in the walls and floor, racing outward through long dormant conduits beneath the colony. The other nodes are activating, Raven called out, reading the rapidly changing displays. The entire network is coming online. Above them, the colony shuddered. Through the chamber's ancient interfaces, Raven could see power surging through every level, overriding the failing systems and replacing them with something far more sophisticated. Raven, Phoenix shouted over the chaos. We've got more incoming. They're trying to flank us through the maintenance tunnels. The Council forces had split into two groups, their elite soldiers moving with practiced precision. But something was happening to their equipment. Their energy weapons flickered and died as the ancient technology's influence spread. Their systems are being rewritten, Raven realized. Just like my scanner. The network is integrating with all our technology, upgrading it, changing it. A massive tremor shook the chamber, and suddenly the air itself seemed to come alive with threads of luminescent energy. The Council forces stopped their advance, transfixed by the transformation taking place around them. By the stars, Phoenix breathed. Look at your hands. Raven glanced down and gasped. Her skin was threaded with the same luminescent patterns that covered the chamber walls, as if the ancient technology was merging with her on a cellular level. The same changes were happening to everyone in the chamber, Council forces included. This is what the ancients became, she said, understanding flooding through her. They didn't just build this technology. They became one with it. And now it's happening to us, Phoenix finished, staring at her own transformed skin. The chamber's displays shifted, showing the change spreading throughout the colony. 15,000 people were being affected simultaneously, their bodies and minds interfacing with the planetary network. Stand down, the Council force leader ordered, but his voice lacked conviction. His soldiers were lowering their weapons, overwhelmed by the sensation of connecting to something vast and incomprehensible. Raven stepped forward, her transformed body humming with new awareness. You can feel it, can't you? The truth the Council tried to hide. We were never meant to just survive here, rationing energy and living in fear. This planet, this technology, it's been waiting for us to be ready. Through her connection to the network, she could sense the changes rippling through the colony's population. Fear turned to wonder as people discovered their new abilities. The power to interface directly with technology, to share thoughts and experiences across vast distances, to draw energy directly from the planetary grid. The riots have stopped, Phoenix reported, her enhanced senses extending through the colony's upper levels. Everyone's connecting. But not everyone was accepting the transformation peacefully. Through the network, Raven sensed resistance. Council members attempting to shut down the system, to maintain their control over the colony. They're trying to override the network from the central control room, she said. They don't understand. This isn't something they can control anymore. It's evolving, and so are we. Another tremor shook the chamber, stronger this time. The displays showed massive changes taking place in Umbra's crust, ancient machines awakening, restructuring the very planet beneath their feet. Raven, Phoenix called urgently. The star's energy pattern, it's changing. The holographic displays shifted to show their dying star, but now Raven could see it through the ancients' technology. What they had thought was death was actually transformation. The star was shifting into a new state of existence, one that the ancients had learned to harness and shape. We need to get to the surface, Raven decided. The Council needs to understand what's really happening before they do something that can't be undone. The Council forces in the chamber had already laid down their weapons, their bodies and minds transformed by the ancient technology. But above them, in the colony's control center, the old guard was preparing for one final attempt to maintain their power. "I'm coming with you," Phoenix said, her enhanced abilities making her more formidable than ever. "The Truth Seekers have agents in the upper levels. They can help us reach the control room." Raven nodded, feeling the network's power flowing through her. "We're not just fighting for control of the colony anymore. We're fighting for our evolution, for the future the ancients prepared for us." They moved toward the chamber's exit, their transformed bodies glowing with internal light. Behind them, the liquid metal pillar pulsed in harmony with their enhanced biorhythms, its power spreading inexorably through the colony. The final confrontation was coming, not just between factions, but between two possible futures for humanity: the Council's vision of control and rationing, or the ancients' dream of transformation and transcendence. And through it all, their star continued its mysterious metamorphosis, its light changing in ways that only their newly enhanced senses could comprehend. The darkness that had defined their existence was about to end, but what would take its place? The answer lay in the colony's control room, where the old order was making its last stand against a future they could neither control nor understand. The journey to the colony's control room was unlike anything Raven had ever experienced. Through her enhanced senses, she could feel the pulse of the ancient network spreading through every level of the colony, transforming both infrastructure and inhabitants. The once dark corridors now rippled with streams of living light, and every surface hummed with newfound energy. Phoenix moved ahead, her transformed body flowing through the space with liquid grace. The Councils barricaded themselves in the control center. They've got about 30 loyalists with them, all resisting the change. Through the network, Raven could sense their fear, their desperate attempt to cling to the old order. They're trying to initiate a complete colony shutdown. If they succeed, they could damage the integration process. The colony shuddered again, more violently this time. Above them, through kilometers of rock and metal, their dying star was responding to the awakening of the ancient technology. Its light, once feeble and intermittent, was changing into something entirely new. "Magistrate Wells is addressing the colony," Phoenix reported, interfacing with the communication systems. Wells's voice echoed through the transformed corridors, strained and desperate. "Citizens of New Haven, do not be deceived by these changes. What's happening is an invasion, a corruption of our very humanity. We must resist, must maintain our—" The transmission cut off as they reached the upper levels. Here they found hundreds of transformed colonists gathered, their bodies glowing with the same internal light. Among them were members of the Truth Seekers, their enhanced abilities already organized into a coordinated force. The control room sealed, one of them reported, his thoughts flowing directly into Raven's consciousness. "But we've got something you need to see first." He projected an image into their shared awareness, a view of the star from the colony's external sensors. The sight took Raven's breath away. The star's surface was covered in geometric patterns identical to those in the ancient chambers, its entire structure realigning into something that defied conventional physics. The ancients didn't just survive their dying star, Raven realized, the truth flooding through her enhanced mind. They transformed it, turned it into a part of their network. And now it's happening again, Phoenix finished. But the Council's fighting it every step of the way. They reached the entrance to the control center, where the Council's loyalists had erected energy barriers using the last of the old power systems. But through her connection to the network, Raven could sense the barriers weakening as the ancient technology spread. "This has to end," she said, stepping forward, not with violence, but with understanding. She reached out with her transformed consciousness, interfacing directly with the control room systems. The doors slid open, revealing Wells and his inner circle hunched over failing consoles, desperately trying to maintain control. "Stop," Wells commanded, raising an antiquated energy weapon. "Don't come any closer." "Look at your star, Wells," Raven said, projecting the image for all to see. "Look at what we're becoming. This isn't an invasion. It's an invitation. One the ancients prepared for us over thousands of years." "We're losing our humanity," Wells protested, but his voice wavered as the transformation began to affect him too, threads of light spreading across his skin. "No," Phoenix stepped forward, her form radiating with power. "We're becoming more than human." The ancients discovered that evolution doesn't end with biology. They found a way to merge consciousness with technology, to transcend the limitations of flesh and blood. Through the vast windows of the control center, they could see the colony transformed. The once dark halls now pulsed with living light, and every resident was connected to a network of shared consciousness and purpose. "The star," one of the council members gasped, pointing. They all turned to watch as their star completed its metamorphosis. The geometric patterns covering its surface locked into place, and suddenly, the entire colony was bathed in a new kind of light, steady, powerful, and alive with intelligence. "This was their gift to us," Raven said softly, feeling the star's energy flow through the network, through all of them. Not just survival, but transcendence. The power to shape our own evolution, to become something beyond our wildest dreams. Wells's weapon clattered to the floor as the transformation took him fully. One by one, the council members surrendered to the change, their consciousness expanding to join the collective awareness that now linked all colonists. The star's new light filled every corner of the colony, but it was no longer just illumination. It was information, energy, and consciousness combined, the legacy of an ancient race that had discovered the next step in human evolution. Through their shared awareness, Raven felt the last of the resistance fade. The colony was unified, transformed, ready to explore the vast potential of their new existence. The ancient network spread across the entire planet, waiting to share its secrets with their evolved minds. "So," Phoenix said, her consciousness intertwined with Raven's, "what do we become now?" Raven looked out at their transformed star, its light now a constant reminder of the infinite possibilities ahead. Whatever we choose to be, the ancients showed us the way, but our path is our own to make. The darkness that had defined their existence was gone, replaced by a light that would never fade. And in that light, humanity had found not just salvation, but the key to its own transcendence. On the planet called Umbra, where shadows had once ruled, a new dawn had broken, and it would shine forever.